You're scrolling through Instagram, and there it is again. Your college roommate just posted a photo in front of a brand new BMW 5 Series. Gleaming paint, luxury badge, caption reads, "New whip, who dis?" You're sitting there thinking, wait, didn't he just complain last week about his student loans? How is he affording a $70,000 car? And then it hits you. You start doing the mental math on your own car payment. $489 a month. Doesn't sound too bad, right? But then you realize you've been paying it for 3 years, and you still have 4 years to go. That's over $40,000 for a car that's currently worth maybe $18,000. And suddenly, you feel this knot in your stomach because you realize something's very, very wrong with this picture. My name is Alym, and I spend way too much time thinking about money and why people make the financial decisions they do. If you've ever wondered how your neighbor can afford that Audi A8, $92,000 plus, while complaining about grocery prices, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Here's the thing. We need to talk about car payments. Not the surface level, don't buy a car you can't afford advice. I mean the deep, uncomfortable truth about what a perpetual car payment is actually doing to your wealth, and why the financial industry has spent billions of dollars conditioning you to think that a monthly payment is just a normal part of adult life. Because it's not, and the numbers are absolutely wild. Look, the average new car payment in America right now is $736 a month. The average used car payment is $525. According to Experian's latest automotive finance report, the average loan term has stretched to nearly 70 months. That's almost 6 years. 6 years of payments on an asset that loses value every single day you own it. But here's what most people don't realize. It's not really about the car. The car is just the most visible symptom of a much bigger problem. It's about a financial trap that keeps millions of Americans in a cycle where they will never, ever build wealth. And the craziest part? Most people don't even know they're in it. Let me show you what I mean. The typical American gets their first car payment around age 25. Maybe it's $350 a month. Not terrible, right? They pay on it for 5 years, and right around year 4, something happens. The car has some miles on it now. Maybe it needs new tires, the transmission is acting funny, or they just see a newer model with better features, and they think, you know what? My payment is almost done anyway. I should just trade this in and get something more reliable. So they go to the dealership. The dealer looks at their trade-in, offers them way less than they expected, rolls the negative equity into the new loan, and suddenly they're signing papers on a $450 payment. But hey, it's a nicer car, and the payment only went up $100 a month. Seems reasonable. 5 years later, they do it again. Except now the payment is $575, then $680, then $795. And here's the thing that's absolutely crushing. They're now 45 years old, and they've been making car payments for 20 consecutive years. 20 years of payments, and they have never, not once, owned their car outright. Do the math with me real quick. Let's say the average payment over those 20 years was $500. That's a conservative estimate, but let's use it. $500 a month times 12 months times 20 years. That's $120,000 in car payments. $120,000 that went to depreciating assets, interest payments, gap insurance, and extended warranties that they probably never used. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. What if, instead of having a car payment for those 20 years, they had bought reasonable used cars in cash and invested that $500 a month into a simple S&P 500 index fund? With average market returns of around 10% annually, that $120,000 in payments would have grown to about $380,000. $380,000. That's not retirement money, that's I'm financially independent and have options money. But nobody tells you this at the dealership. The finance manager isn't sitting there with a compound interest calculator showing you what you're really giving up. They're showing you leather seats, premium sound systems, and asking, can you afford $499 a month? And that question, that one simple question, is the entire trap. Because yes, you probably can afford $499 a month. Most people with a decent job can technically afford it. But can you afford the payment, and should you have the payment, are two completely different questions. Let me explain the psychology here, because this is important. There's something called payment thinking versus wealth thinking. Payment thinking asks, does this fit in my monthly budget? Wealth thinking asks, what is the total cost of this decision, and what am I giving up by making it? The car industry, the financing companies, the banks, they have spent billions of dollars training you to think in payments. Every commercial, every advertisement, every dealership sign doesn't show you the total price of the vehicle, they show you the monthly payment. $299 a month, $349 a month, $479 a month. It's everywhere. And there's a reason for that. When you think in terms of monthly payments, it triggers a psychological trick called payment bracketing. Basically, your brain compares the payment to other monthly expenses. $400 doesn't sound that bad when you're already paying $300 for groceries, $150 for your phone bill, $200 for streaming services and subscriptions. It's just another line item in the budget, right? But when you step back and look at the total cost, something like $65,000 over 6 years, your brain has a completely different reaction. Suddenly, it feels massive, terrifying even. So the industry keeps you focused on the monthly number because it's easier to say yes to $400 than to $65,000. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Alym, but I need a car. I have to get to work. What am I supposed to do? Ride a bike? No, I'm not saying don't have a car. I'm saying the way most people buy cars is financial self-sabotage, and there's a better way. Here's what I want you to understand. The car payment isn't just costing you the payment, it's costing you the opportunity to build wealth. Every dollar that goes to a car payment is a dollar that can't go to investments, can't go to paying off high-interest debt, can't go to building an emergency fund. It's a dollar that's locked into an asset that's guaranteed to lose value. Let me give you a real example. I have a friend, let's call him Marcus. Marcus has been making car payments his entire adult life. Right now, he's driving a $55,000 truck. His payment is $780 a month at 5.9% interest for 72 months. He justified it because he needs the truck for his job. He's a contractor, does home renovations. I asked him, Marcus, how often do you actually haul materials in that truck? He thought about it and admitted maybe once or twice a month. The rest of the time, it's just his daily driver. So I did the math for him. Over the 6 years of his loan, he's going to pay over $56,000 for a truck that will be worth maybe $25,000 when the loan is paid off, and that's if he keeps it and doesn't trade it in early, which, based on his history, he probably will. I showed him an alternative. He could sell the truck, take the hit on the negative equity just this once, buy a $15,000 used sedan in cash for his daily driving, and rent a truck from Home Depot for $30 on the 2 days a month he needs to haul materials. Even if he rented a truck 20 times a year, that's only $600 versus $780 a month every month for 6 years. His response? Yeah, but I really like my truck. And look, I get it. I'm not here to tell you that you can't enjoy nice things, but I am here to tell you that you need to be honest with yourself about what those nice things are actually costing you, because the math doesn't lie. Every financial decision is a trade-off. When you choose the $700 truck payment, you're choosing not to invest that money. You're choosing to work longer before you can retire. You're choosing to have less flexibility in your career because you have to maintain that payment. Here's another thing that nobody talks about. The car payment affects more than just your monthly budget. It affects your entire financial psychology. When you have a large car payment, it creates what I call lifestyle lock-in. You can't take risks. You can't leave a job you hate because you need that steady paycheck to cover the payment. You can't invest aggressively because you need that money liquid for monthly expenses. You can't build up savings because after all your monthly payments, there's barely anything left. The car payment doesn't give you freedom, it takes it away. And here's where the trap gets even more insidious. The average American trades in their car when they still owe more than it's worth. According to Edmunds, nearly 43% of trade-ins have negative equity. The average amount of negative equity? Over $6,000. So when these people trade in their cars, the dealer rolls that negative equity into the new loan. Now they're not just paying for the new car, they're paying for a car they no longer own. This is how people end up with a $45,000 loan on a $35,000 car. And because the loan-to-value ratio is so underwater, they have to buy gap insurance, which costs even more. It's a cycle that feeds on itself, and every time someone trades in early, they dig the hole deeper. Look, I know this is uncomfortable to hear. If you're watching this and you have a car payment, you might be feeling defensive right now. You might be thinking, my situation is different, or I got a good deal, or I need this car for my family. And maybe that's true, but I want you to ask yourself something. If you didn't have a car payment, if that money was yours to keep every month, what would your life look like? Would you have more in savings? Would you be investing more for retirement? Would you feel less stressed about money? Would you have more options in your career? The answer is probably yes to all of those things. Here's the thing that really frustrates me. The financial industry knows all of this. They know that keeping people in car payments is incredibly profitable. The longer the loan term, the more interest they collect. The more people trade in with negative equity, the bigger the loans become. It's a machine designed to extract wealth from the middle class, and it's working exactly as intended. But here's what gives me hope. Once you see the trap, you can get out of it. It might take time, and it might require some sacrifice, but it's absolutely possible, and the freedom on the other side is worth it. So let me give you a framework. If you currently have a car payment, here's what I want you to do. First, figure out your total cost of ownership. Don't just look at the monthly payment. Look at how much you owe, how much interest you're paying, and what the car will be worth when the loan is paid off. Write it down. Look at it. Let it sink in. Second, commit to breaking the cycle. That means when this car is paid off, you don't trade it in, you keep driving it. I know it won't be shiny and new, but here's the secret. The best financial years of a car's life are after it's paid off. No payment, just insurance and maintenance. If you can drive a paid-off car for even 2 or 3 years while banking what would have been your car payment, you'll have enough cash to buy your next car outright. Third, stop thinking in payments. When you're ready for your next car, ask yourself, what can I afford to pay in cash, not what payment can I afford? This one shift in thinking will change everything. If you can only afford a $10,000 car in cash, then that's your car. Yeah, it might not have all the features of a $40,000 car, but it also won't have a $40,000 loan attached to it. Fourth, understand that driving a modest car while you build wealth is temporary. The goal isn't to drive a beater forever. The goal is to get to a place where you have so much wealth that when you do want to buy a nice car, you can pay cash for it without it affecting your financial position. That's real wealth. Not looking wealthy while being broke, actually being wealthy, even if nobody knows it. I want to share something personal with you. I drove a 10-year-old Honda Civic for years while I was building my investment portfolio. My friends gave me crap about it. People at work made comments. But you know what? While they were making $600 car payments, I was investing that money. Now, years later, I have an investment portfolio that generates passive income. And yeah, I eventually bought a nicer car, but I paid cash and it didn't even make a dent in my net worth. The delayed gratification was worth it, every single time. Here's the truth that most people don't want to hear. You can't build wealth while you're making debt payments on depreciating assets. It's mathematically impossible. Wealth is built by acquiring assets that appreciate or generate income. Cars don't do either of those things. They go down in value, and they cost you money every month in insurance, gas, and maintenance. This doesn't mean you should never own a nice car. It means you should own a nice car after you've built wealth, not as a substitute for building wealth. And if you're young, if you're in your 20s or early 30s, please hear this. The decisions you make about cars right now will determine your financial trajectory for decades. If you can avoid car payments in your 20s and early 30s and invest that money instead, you will be so far ahead of your peers by the time you're 40 that it won't even be close. Compound interest is the most powerful wealth-building tool you have, but it only works if you actually invest the money. Every year you spend making a $500 car payment is a year you're not investing $6,000. Over 10 years, that's $60,000 in contributions that could have grown to over $100,000 with market returns. That's the real cost of the car payment, not just the payment itself, but everything that money could have become. Look, I know I've been pretty intense about this, but it's because I've seen too many people work their entire lives and have nothing to show for it because they spent everything they earned on payments. Car payments, furniture payments, phone payments, subscription payments, death by 1,000 monthly cuts. The way you build wealth is by keeping the gap between what you earn and what you spend as wide as possible, and then investing that gap. Every payment you eliminate widens that gap, and the car payment is usually the second biggest payment people have after their mortgage. Eliminating it changes everything. So here's my challenge to you. If you have a car payment right now, I want you to make a plan to pay it off as fast as possible. Not the minimum payment, actually aggressively pay it down. Cut something else from your budget if you have to. Then, when it's paid off, keep driving that car and start investing what was your payment. Do that for just 2 years and you'll have built more wealth than most people build in a decade. And if you're about to buy a car, if you're even thinking about signing up for a payment, I want you to seriously consider the alternatives. Can you buy something cheaper in cash? Can you keep your current car longer? Can you get creative with your transportation needs? Because here's what I've learned. The people who become wealthy aren't the people who look wealthy. They're the people who make smart, often boring financial decisions that nobody sees. They drive reasonable cars, they live below their means, and they invest the difference. And 10, 20, 30 years later, they have something that no car payment can give you. They have freedom, financial freedom, the freedom to work because they want to, not because they have to, the freedom to take risks, the freedom to retire early if they want, the freedom to be generous, the freedom to live life on their terms. That's what's on the other side of breaking the car payment cycle. Not just more money, actual freedom. So the next time you're tempted by that new car smell, by the leather seats and the premium sound system, I want you to remember what you're really choosing. You're not just choosing a car, you're choosing between 2 different financial futures. One where you spend the next 20 or 30 years making payments on depreciating assets, always feeling a little bit broke, always wondering why you can't get ahead. Or one where you make the less exciting choice now, the modest car, the longer wait, the delayed gratification, but you build real wealth that gives you real options. The choice is yours, but make sure you're making it with your eyes wide open, understanding the full cost of what you're choosing. If this video opened your eyes to something you hadn't thought about before, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I make videos like this because I genuinely believe that if more people understood how money actually works, we'd have a lot less financial stress and a lot more financial freedom in this world. Drop a comment below and let me know, do you have a car payment? Are you planning to break the cycle? I read every comment and I want to hear your story. And remember, being smart with money isn't about deprivation, it's about making intentional choices that align with the life you actually want to live, not the life that commercials tell you you should want. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.